Hey, I want to welcome you to the introductory episode of Ditch Your Limits. I'm recording outside today, and by doing so, I'm ditching a limit. Stay tuned and I'll tell you why. Hey everybody, and welcome again to Ditch Your Limits, the show where we break down some limiting beliefs so that you can get unstuck. I'm Trish Jones, I'm a speaker, coach and author, and today I am going to be introducing the new show, Ditch Your Limits. But before I do all of that, I just want to tell you why I'm recording outside, because it's no big deal, right? Hey, everybody records outside. Well, back in 2008, when I first learned about video, everybody was teaching how you had to have the perfect background, the perfect lighting. Basically, if a dog made a sound, right, it was like your video was trashed. And I kind of grew up with that notion. Grew up, right? 2008. Anyway, never mind. Yeah, I kind of grew up with that notion. And so I have the near perfect setup in my office, right? So the lighting has to be right and the background has to be right. And I thought, you know what? I have got to get rid of that notion. I've got to ditch that limit. So I need to practice what I preach. So I've decided that whether the ambiance out here is good enough or not, I'm going to record outside. And initially I went outside in my back garden, and guess what? The traffic from the main road was really noisy. The neighbors are doing something in their garden. The kids in the other garden are making a lot of noise. And I'm like, right, okay, do you know what? Let's go out the front garden or front yard, depending on whether you're from America or not. And I come out here and guess what? A drill starts going, right? Car alarm starts going off. A plane was going by, and where we live, it is a cul-de-sac, and our house is the turning point, right? So often we'll get cars come along here. So basically it meant that I was going to be breaking every rule, and I thought, you know what, this is about breaking every rule. Let me just break every rule. So basically, so long as it doesn't bother you, if a drill goes off, if a plane goes over, if a car turns up, just ignore it, because I've decided that's exactly what I am going to do. So this really is what Ditch Your Limits is all about. We sometimes think that in order to ditch some limits, right, we got to take these big massive steps, because after all, this is what we have been taught. You want to make some changes, you got to make some big changes, when really it is small, seemingly insignificant things that if we change those, they would actually change the blockages that we have in our mind about certain things. So for me, when I was doing video, I felt that I had to have the near perfect background and the perfect lighting and the perfect audio. In fact, for me, actually recording with my iPhone today as well, just with my lapel microphone, I don't want to hit it too hard, right? That in itself, oh my gosh, no, you couldn't do that because the audio is not going to be good enough. But you know what? Good enough has to be good enough, because if we look at these people that are mega successful, they don't look at these minutiae things in the same way that we do. And so anything that is a stumbling block, if we start off with those small things, guess what? It's going to mean that we are able to get rid of the small stumbling blocks so that we can knock over the bigger stumbling blocks. And I love the way that Jim Rohn says it, right? He says, success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every day. There is power in small wins and slow gains. I mean, for me, that absolutely says it all. Small wins. So that's what Ditch Your Limits is all about. It is about mindset. It is about taking action. It is about breaking down limiting beliefs. Limiting insofar as they limit us to do what we are supposed to do. So basically, anything that stops you doing something at all or doing it consistently, you got to ditch it. Right? And so for me, feeling that I got to record inside all the time, I got to ditch that limit. Now, my daughter, right, she started doing YouTube 18 months ago now. And Christmas just gone was the first Christmas in a long, long time that we were actually ready the day before Christmas Eve. And it felt so good. And I'm in the kitchen and suddenly I hear, oh my gosh, mummy. And it was like this lamentation. In fact, actually, first of all, I thought that somebody died. And I walked in the living room. I said, what's the problem? She said, I've done my video and it's all blurry. I can't put this up. So I looked at it and I said, Elodie, it's not that bad, right? The audio is perfectly fine, and people will put up with a little bit of blurriness, but they won't put up with bad audio. But your audio is perfectly fine. Put it up. And she's going, no. And she kind of gets all upset, to the extent that in the end she knocked over some water on her laptop, but hey, we'll forget that. and she wouldn't listen to me. And then her friend Ellie stepped in, thank you Ellie, and said, Elodie, it's not that bad, I think you ought to put it up. She reluctantly put the video up with a frump, right? Yeah, something like that, right? And let me just say that at that point, so this is December 2018 I'm talking about now, she had 2,500 subscribers on her YouTube channel. Today, because of that video, she now has 62,000 subscribers. That video literally blew up. That video gave her more exposure and made her more influential on YouTube. And basically she does that part-time, right, because she's at college full-time. So that was a limit that she'd had to ditch, because she had this new camera months before and she needed to tell everybody, you know, that look, hey, look at my camera quality, it is just so perfect. And of course she loved it when people said, wow, what camera are you using, because you know your videos are so crisp, etc., etc. But she just had to ditch that limit. And so anyway, as a result, as I said, 62,000 followers on YouTube, and she's doing very well and enjoying it. That's the most important thing. So that's really the introduction to what Ditch Your Limits is all about. One more thing I just want to talk to you about, and that is the comments. What I'm trying to create here is a positive environment where people can come and they can learn and they can ditch some limits so that they can break free from their limitations, from their limiting beliefs, and so they can get unstuck. So really what isn't helpful is the negative comments. And when I say negative comments, I am not talking about the comments against me. You can say what you like. If they're downright horrible comments, I will just delete them, right? But other than that, I don't expect you to tell lies. If you want to be honest, that's fine, be honest, but you just have to be honest nicely. But more importantly, I do not want to see other people trashed because they are not good at spelling, or the grammar police is after them because their grammar is not perfect, because you don't know whether these people may English may not be their first language. It might be that they're dyslexic, it might be that they're having learning difficulties. I always say you don't know anybody until you know their story. So if you are the grammar police or the spelling bee, please just understand that everybody is not like you. I heard a really sad story the other day, and I tell you, it really did break my heart. A lady whose mother decided to comment on her video just in support of her daughter, and her first language isn't English. She's an immigrant in America. I don't even like using that word, but you know, anyway, she's not from America. And somebody basically flamed her. And when the daughter went back and explained that, if I told you what the response was, it was shocking. I just do not understand how we have some people in this world who basically think that they are better than anybody else just because they are good at spelling or good at grammar. And let me tell you, the graveyards are filled with people who never ever fulfilled their potential because silently, even though they were intelligent, silently, because they may even have been geniuses, they were too afraid of being judged, and therefore they never ever fulfilled their true potential. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. Okay, don't be that person. So I want you to support somebody else, because let's take my brother, for example. My brother's dyslexic, okay? But let me tell you, that boy can cook. Okay, he's not a boy now, he's a man. But nobody cooks like my brother, right? And I'm telling you, when it comes to a conversation or an argument, nobody is as articulate as my brother. We keep telling him, if you're in England, right, and you know Ainsley, what's his surname? You know, the chef anyway. Can't even think of his surname now. That's what we call him anyway, Ainsley. And we used to keep saying to him, why don't you just kick Ainsley off his show, and you need to get on there because he is funny as well, right? We call him the laughing chef. So everybody, whether you can spell, whether you can't spell, everybody has a purpose. And even those people who may not be able to spell very well, they may be an immigrant in your country, they have every right, as much as anybody else, to fulfill their purpose and fulfill their destiny. And I would love you to be one of those people who is encouraging that person to do what they have been called to do. So needless to say, one of the things that we can do to ditch our limits is to stay focused on what we have been called to do and mind our own business. So anyway, that is the end of the introductory episode to Ditch Your Limits. I'd love you to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications when I put up other videos. And also, if there are people you know who would benefit from this video, please do not hesitate to share, because I think we're living in an era where the opportunities are fantastic, but I also believe that we're living in an era where we destroy our own opportunities because of our mouth, number one, and the way we think, number two, and the fact that we allow everybody else to tell us how we should live our lives and what we should do and say. And we need to start peeling back some layers so that we get back to the real person. And that's why I say, with regards to the comments, be nice, because you don't know what other people have been struggling with to get to where they are today. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care now. Ciao, ciao.